I was invited to my sister's wedding, but my husband wasn't, and now I know why. I'm a 34-year-old woman, married to my husband Eric for about 5 years now. Everything's been great between us. And we've always been pretty involved with my family, especially my younger sister Alex, who's 30. Alex recently got engaged to her fiancé Luke, and of course we were excited for them. I always thought Eric got along with my family well enough, nothing major that stood out. But then something happened that threw me for a loop, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. So a few weeks ago, I get this wedding invitation from Alex. I was honestly pumped. I've been really looking forward to her wedding, celebrating with family, catching up with everyone, and just being there for her. The invitation was beautiful, like one of those fancy cards with gold trim. The kind that immediately makes you realize how formal the wedding is going to be. I opened it expecting to see both our names, but nope, it was just for me. That was odd. I double-checked. It wasn't a mistake, it wasn't a joint invite. Just my name, no mention of Eric. At first, I thought, maybe it's just a simple mistake, or maybe there was some sort of weird guest list issue. I didn't say anything to Eric right away because I didn't want to freak him out if it was just a mix-up. Instead, I decided to get to the bottom of it quietly. I called my dad figuring he'd know what's going on. My dad and I are pretty close, so I thought he'd be able to clear it up easily. But when I asked him about it, he seemed off. He hesitated for a second, like he was thinking about how to answer me. Then, he gave me this weird half-baked explanation about how Alex and Luke were trying to keep the guest list small, and that maybe they didn't have space for plus ones. I didn't like how he said it though, it was way too casual. Like he was trying to brush it off, and honestly, it didn't sit right with me. But at the time I just let it go. I told myself that maybe I was overthinking it and I'd deal with it later. I should have trusted my gut because later turned out to be a whole mess. Eventually, I had to tell Eric about the invitation. I didn't want to hide it from him, and I figured he'd notice something was up when I didn't bring it up. So I told him. He took it pretty hard, honestly, way more than I expected. He's always been really family-oriented, and we've gone to every family event together since we got married. So not being invited to Alex's wedding felt personal to him, like he was being left out deliberately, and I could tell he was hurt, even though he tried to play it off like he wasn't. I kept reassuring him that it was probably some kind of mistake, that I'd figure it out, but the more I thought about it, the more uncomfortable I got. I decided to text Alex casually like, "Hey girl, just got your invite." Wanted to check about Eric's, wasn't sure if his was separate or something. I didn't want to sound confrontational just in case it really was a mistake. But to my surprise, Alex didn't respond, which was weird because we talk all the time. A day or two passed with no word from her. I could feel this knot growing in my stomach. I tried not to make a big deal of it in front of Eric, but I knew something was off. The following weekend, we had this family barbecue at my cousin's place. I figured I'd see Alex there and maybe I could talk to her in person. At the very least, I was hoping someone would bring up the wedding so I could get a better sense of what was going on. During the barbecue, I overheard my cousin chatting with someone about Alex and Luke's guest list, how strict they were being about who they invited. I wasn't even really paying attention until someone else mentioned that everyone's significant others were invited except for Eric. That's when I started to feel that gnawing feeling again. It wasn't just some mix-up, they had deliberately left him out. I decided right then that I needed to have a serious conversation with my parents. If they knew what was going on, they were either covering it up or didn't think it was important enough to address. So I pulled them aside later that day and asked them flat out why Eric wasn't invited. My mom tried to brush it off like it wasn't a big deal, but my dad was avoiding eye contact the whole time. He kept saying things like, "It's just one day, and we don't want any drama before the wedding." That was when I knew something more was going on, and they weren't telling me the full story. Later that night, Eric asked me point blank what was up with the wedding invite. I didn't have the heart to lie to him, so I told him what I had heard at the barbecue and how Alex still hadn't responded to me. He was upset, obviously. But more than that, he felt singled out, like he had done something to deserve being excluded. And honestly, I didn't have any answers for him. The more I thought about it, the more I started to feel like I was missing something big. Eric wondered if maybe it was because of a disagreement he had with my dad a while back, but that seemed so minor in comparison to what was happening now. None of it made sense. The whole thing was starting to wear on both of us, and I knew I had to confront Alex directly. It wasn't just about the wedding anymore. It was about something bigger, and I needed to know what was really going on before things got even worse. Update 1. I decided to stop waiting around and reached out to Alex directly. I texted her asking if we could meet up. I told her we needed to talk about the wedding and why Eric wasn't invited. After a few hours of no response, she finally got back to me and agreed to meet later in the week. She said she'd bring Luke along too, which I was fine with. I wanted to hear his side of things anyway.